I've got a question for you. How many times have you heard this advice of love conquers all or happy wife, happy life? Yeah, I think we've all heard these before. So, what I want to know is, are these really nuggets of wisdom or are they myths in disguise? So today we're gonna dive into some marriage cliches and really determine whether they hold some truth or and then we're gonna offer some practical and biblical advice for that as well. And so yeah, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Love How Deep. I'm Heather.
And I'm Brian. Thanks for joining. And yes, I am really thrilled that we're going to be talking about this because I think a lot of couples and a lot of people do have some misconceptions about some of these different things that we're going to talk about. So, yeah, I'd say we just dive in, right?
Yes.
Let's do it. What do we got?
Does love really mean that I never have to say I'm sorry?
Oh, so I guess we're starting here. This is cliche number one.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, my short answer is no, you should have to say you're sorry,
Yes, you
right? I
do.
mean,
Yes.
right, because things happen between people and couples. And yeah, I think what this is kind of getting at is like, oh, love is just so powerful that, it can overcome anything. And that is true. But love is an action. It's not just a feeling. And so when love gets, I guess, broken or interrupted, yeah, we've got to do something to help repair it. And saying I'm sorry is probably one of those things that we can do, right?
We do. And, it's another part of that is like, oh, if we love each other, we're never going to do anything to
Mhm.
hurt each other's feelings or anything wrong. And that's not right
Mhm.
because we are all born sinners and we are all human and we're going to do something wrong. So, yes, we have to learn
Mhm.
that act of forgiveness and just
Yeah,
even apologizing with each other. James
right.
5:16 says, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed.
Mhm.
So,
That's
yeah,
good. Yeah, so I would say this is one in my opinion, this is 100% a myth,
that is a
this
myth.
one. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
So,
practice saying I'm
yeah, yeah,
sorry and what that means,
yeah.
that can strengthen your
Mhm.
bond.
Yeah. What about this one? Happy wife, happy life. I hear
Oh,
this one all the time.
when I'm happy, aren't you happy? Isn't that the way
Yes,
our
I would
marriage
say
works?
so. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. But I would say, I guess the point of this one being not so good is that, oh, every decision, everything that happens, as long as you're happy, it doesn't matter if I'm happy.
That's
And
not good.
that's not good.
Because then I'm ignoring your feelings, your thoughts, your
Yeah.
opinions, your likes and dislikes, your wants. Like,
Mm,
then it's like a very one sided relationship. So I can't be selfish. It's not all about me. So it's
yeah.
about us.
Mhm.
And sometimes it might be a day that's all about you. It's that whole give and take thing, right?
Yeah. And I think where this one comes from a lot of times is that men are often seen as like, oh, just go with the flow and yeah, whatever you want's fine. And, just leave me alone. I'm gonna sit over here and read my newspaper and you go do what you need to do. And
Right.
I think that's where a lot of that comes from. But I do believe we men have opinions and thoughts and feelings and they matter just as much. So yeah, I do think that this one is a myth as well, right? I
I think it's
mean,
a myth.
you know,
Um,
I mean,
sometimes we do want to do things to make our spouse
yeah,
happy. You can
right.
absolutely do that, but
Yeah.
don't base your marriage on always make the woman happy.
Hmm.
Like that's
Yep.
just,
That's right.
no, that's not,
That's exactly
that's
right.
not.
Yeah. And so with that, Ephesians 5:25 says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church. And, it talks a little bit more also about wives respecting husbands. So the point of that whole passage is really, again, it's a two-way street when it comes to that. So, all
Right.
right, we got a third one, a
Yeah.
third myth.
Well, only opposites are going to attract.
Mm,
Like opposites attracting is probably better than having two people exactly the same attract.
mm,
It's that whole thing. Well, we're just opposites and we're attracted to each other.
yeah.
So is that a
Uh,
myth or is that true? What do you
I
think?
mean, I would say it's partially true because I think on the surface, sometimes it's okay that, you know, maybe you have this bubbly personality and you're flighty and everything brings you joy and
Right.
fun. And I know that's probably the wrong
Kidding.
word,
I'm
but
kidding.
maybe, I'm maybe more calm and more mellow. And sometimes that kind of personality difference works well. So that's opposites.
Right.
But I
Right.
think when you dig down deeper, if we have the opposite sort of view on our belief in God, let's say, for example, or our desire for the future, or just what we see as right and wrong in the world, those things are probably going to could potentially present a problem. So if that makes any sense, so I think,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think, there are some things, deep things that you can have differences on that you can navigate, but,
Right.
um, so
But I also think that when you're attracted to someone and back in that dating phase, it's usually the opposites that attract you to them. You're like, wow, like never thought about it
mm,
that way. Or I love how he's so chill because I'm always so like high strung. And it's like he brings me down a little bit. And you find those things to be so endearing and so good. But then, 5, 10, 20 years into marriage, it's like he's too chill. It's like, "Let's go. We gotta go. We're gonna be late. Come on. What are you doing?"
mhm,
And so what you once loved and that was opposites and you
yeah,
were attracted to each other is now just like the bane of your
yeah,
existence. You're like, "Oh,"
mhm,
and, just continuing to understand that about each other that you do have, um, uh, whew, you do have similarities and you do have differences.
okay, that's good.
Respecting those differences and
Mhm,
loving those differences and, remembering back to your dating days when it was like, "Oh, it's so cute."
mhm, yep, that's
You
good.
know? Yeah, and then I think, you also have to look beyond that and discover, do you share some values? Do you share common, themes in life? Did you already talk about this?
Yeah,
Did you
I sure
mention this?
did. Yeah,
You
I
did.
think we're
See, I
good.
just
So why don't we go to the Bible? I always love to go to what the Bible has to say,
keep
right?
going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to go Amos 3:3. Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so?
Mm.
So yeah. And again,
Do you know what version that is?
I
Is
don't,
that the Message or something?
maybe.
I'm just curious. I
Yeah.
love the way that it says that. "Do
Yeah.
2 walk together unless they've agreed to do so?" Like,
It's hard.
I agree to walk with you in this light,
Well, right. That's right. Big
so we're
picture
walking
agreement. That
together.
might be what that
This is
means.
big
Yeah.
picture
Big
agreement. We
picture
are in
agreement.
agreement to do that,
You're going to
so
have little
let's
moments where
stick
you
with
don't
it.
don't agree. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all right. What about number 4? Marriage is a 50-50 partnership. What do you think about that one?
Hmm. I don't think so.
Hmm.
I don't think so.
Oh, tell
Because,
us why, Heather.
like, I might be yes, we get so philosophical. Um Like, if we're walking a distance and I walk halfway to that point and he walks halfway to that point, yes, we've gone 50-50. If we are, supporting each other in marriage, one of you is stronger, one of you is weaker, that stronger one's probably giving 99% to your 1% because that's all you can do in that moment. So sometimes like, don't think like this is all I'm gonna do and I'm giving half and you're giving half. Think I'm gonna give my 100%,
Mhm.
the best person that I am, the best wife that I can be, or the best husband that I can be. I am going to give 100%. You might find yourself in a bad marriage right now, bad relationship. You're not alone. Okay. And you might just be like, "Oh, forget it all. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not even gonna try anymore. It's not worth my time and my effort and my energy." He does nothing. I am doing nothing. That's supposed to be getting 0. That's that's a
Mhm.
preparation for disaster there. So if I'm in that position, I'm gonna continue ideally to give 100% to show you how much I love you, how much I care for you, how much I care for our marriage and our relationship, and how much I respect this thing. And I might still be getting 0 in return, but I think God still calls us to give 100%. And maybe, the more that I give 100%, the more that he sees, let me give it 10%. I see her
Mhm.
trying. Let me give a little bit more. Let me give a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're both doing 100%, you're covering so many needs for each other and just pouring so much love and life
Mhm.
into each other. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is,
Mm. Yeah.
no.
I don't think I can add anything
Wha
else to that. You said pretty much everything with that one.
Oh,
So
I just kinda took over there. So
yeah.
give 100% no matter
Yeah.
what kind of
Mhm.
marriage relationship you're in.
Yep.
Philippians 2, 3, and 4 says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition, but value others above yourself."
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
just going above and
Pretty good
beyond.
advice there. Yep.
That's a myth, and
All
just
right.
live that sacrificial
Mhm.
love that
That's
Jesus
right.
lives for us.
Yep. All right.
Mhm.
Let's go to the next one. You complete me. I hear that one in movies a lot. It seems
Yeah.
like,
Well, it was
like
big
you
in
make
one.
me a better man, or
Yes. Make me a better one.
yeah. And it's like,
Our relationship
I
bleh.
mean,
Our relationship should be based on that, right? Like,
right.
you make me
Yeah.
so much better, but
Right.
what
I
if one
mean,
day you don't?
yeah. At the end of the day, it really should be all about God. He's the one, we have a hole in our heart, and he's really the one that should be filling that. And then I would say probably our spouse should almost be seen as like a gift, not this needy thing that we need to, again, kind of complete us. So,
Right.
yeah, I just don't necessarily believe in that. So,
Right.
I would disagree with this one. You complete me.
I would disagree on that too. And I want to dive down my rabbit hole. A lot of times we think that when we get married, we're going to become a whole, right?
Mm,
It because two halves make a whole. So if I'm a broken half and he's a broken half and we come together to create a whole, we're going to be perfect for each other. We're going to complete each other and be a better person. That may be true to that certain extent, except that you still came together as a whole that's still broken. You're not quite
mhm,
together because you're missing something, or maybe you're carrying a lot of junk around with you. You've got to let God fill you. You've got to let God take away the junk inside of you. You have to be a whole person. Both of you have to be a whole person. And then you come together and you have the power of Jesus. You are that three-strand cord that is not easily
yeah,
broken. That I think is what the Lord wants for
mhm,
us. Colossians 2:10, in Christ you have been brought to fullness.
yeah,
You're not going to be full and whole
mhm,
until you have Christ in the center of your
mhm,
life and in the center of your
yeah.
marriage.
Good stuff. All right. You got another myth,
Yes,
whether it's true or not true.
we're going to say it. Never go to bed angry. I don't know how that's possible. You made me so mad.
Mhm. I will say in the almost 20 years we've been married at this point, I do distinctly know that I've gone to bed angry probably 3 times in my life.
Shock and awe of
And
that.
I know,
I
right?
never have.
And, I think looking back on it, it wasn't right. Should have tried to figure out a way to deal with things before I went to sleep. But at the same time, if you've been kind of just arguing and in conflict and just going, um, I don't think we're saying like just remove yourself and don't say anything. Um, or I'm sorry, maybe I'm trying to say that the opposite way. You don't necessarily think, well, we got to hammer this out and we got to figure this out before I go to sleep.
Right.
Maybe it's a situation where you kind of meet in the middle and say, hey, this is important. I'm really upset right now, but I know it's late and I know we've been kind of talking about this for a
Yeah.
long time. Can we just pick this up in the morning? Um,
Or maybe tomorrow
so,
evening, because in the morning you're getting ready for work. But
well, right.
I like that though.
Whatever.
Like, let's put that to bed
Hmm.
because we're about to go to bed. I love you. I care about us. We will discuss this at a later time.
Yeah.
And that's going to bed
Right.
without being angry.
Yeah. And
So
so I think that maybe what I'm getting out of this as we're talking is like, yeah, don't necessarily think you have to stay up until a solution has come
it
to,
doesn't always
but
happen.
the emotion of anger, see if you can kind of work on that before you go to bed.
Right.
Because
That's so
again, real
good.
quick, I've had situations where my anger has been kind of amped up overnight, and really God has kind of helped me through that over the night. But it's like, why do I even should have to go through that? So yeah. So what do
Right.
we got on this one? We
Right.
got
It's a true principle,
yeah, yeah,
but don't let it linger.
right. So
Mhm.
Ephesians 4:26 says, "Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry," which is basically what we were
Right.
saying. So
Right.
yeah,
So that is true. That principle, it
yeah,
is true.
yeah.
It's so good,
Mhm,
and can I think help you along in your marriage
mhm.
to
Yep.
further things along.
All right.
You know,
What do we got? We got myth number 7 coming up. We're getting there. We're almost done.
we get married thinking we're going to be on our honeymoon forever, and the honeymoon phase. We also hear that it doesn't last.
Mm,
you know, those naysayers out there are saying, oh, give it time. In a year, you will not have the stars in your eyes anymore. So this myth is the honeymoon doesn't last.
mm,
Sorry.
yeah.
That true?
I will say the deeper part of this now, yes, on the surface level, of course, you're going to have these like feelings and, the buzz in your stomach and the butterflies. And yes, those do have a tendency to, I think, settle. Probably would you
Yes,
agree?
I would
The
agree.
longer you're together, and it probably goes into this deeper place of love. But when it comes to the honeymoon, it does, as you are in a relationship longer, in a marriage longer, you do have to take more actions and kind of put your actions first in front of your feelings, I would
Mhm.
say. But you can continue to create that honeymoon. I know
Yes.
for us, and it's a little bit easier because we are empty nesters, but we have a little bit more freedom to be able to go out to eat or maybe take a weekend away or spend, an hour reading a book together that we really enjoy. Whereas I know people with kids, it's a little bit
Right.
tougher, but
I think it's
um,
important to find practical ways that you can romance each other because that's what the honeymoon phase is. That's the romance, right?
mm,
And you want that to continue in your marriage. And, we've met people that have been married way longer than us that still have that passion and romance for each other. It doesn't mean that you're always like all over each other, being all physical and like gross in
yeah,
public or whatever, and you can't do that with
gross
your,
in public.
you don't be gross in public. Stop that. Um, but, like, if you have children in the house, like, how can you keep that romance alive, with, like, baby vomit all over your shirt and you're just feeling so gross as a woman, you're like, "Oh, I've been banging with this kid all day." It's like, well, you're not in a romantic mood, but maybe when you go to bed, some romantic music can be playing and you can just sit and hold each other and talk. That's romance.
Mhm.
That's romance. It does not have to be this massive overture of flowers and chocolate and let's dance and let's go out to eat. Like, let's go, let me sweep you off your feet. Like, that's not reality. So I think the honeymoon phase can last, but just like
Mm,
your love, if you don't put the work into your love, it's gonna break down. It's gonna fall away. If you don't put the work into romancing your spouse, you're gonna forget why you love each other. You're gonna forget, and it takes work. So, yeah.
that's good. Yeah. And what do we got here?
So
We got
it's a myth,
Psalm.
but that
Yeah.
love can grow deeper and that
Yeah.
romance can look different
Yeah.
every way. We're moving on. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Song of Solomon 2:16. My beloved is mine and I am his. So that is
Yes.
myth number 7. All right.
Yes.
Myth number 8.
Okay.
Love conquers all.
It does because we love each other. We can get through everything. And is love alone enough to overcome all the challenges that you face?
With that one, I would, again, it kind of depends on the way you look at it. Like, we think about God. God is love. And yes, God can conquer all.
Mhm.
His love conquers all.
Mm,
I think, again, we kind of go back to talking about the feeling of love. Can that conquer all?
no.
No. Because again, love can ebb and flow and it can fade over time. It's the action, the things that we do. Yes, I feel like, you know, if we've hit a rough spot or whatever, if I ask for forgiveness or if I say, let's talk about it, yes, those types of actions can really help and can conquer, maybe what has happened. But
Right.
simply just sitting here and thinking, do I feel love or not for my spouse? Will that conquer all? No, I don't really agree with that. So I don't know if you have
Right.
anything to add to this
Right.
one, but
No, I think that's
yeah,
great. I think First Corinthians 13:7 says, love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
yeah,
And I love that all four of those words are action. Because
mhm,
love is not feeling, it is
yeah,
an action. And we want to protect our spouse, trust our spouse, hope for and with our spouse. We want to persevere through those trials that come along that we need to conquer,
mhm,
right? And we're going to persevere together. I
right,
think it's really good. So it takes effort because love is a verb. It's something that you do, and it can be so powerful.
yeah.
I think that's
All
awesome.
right.
Yep.
Myth number 9:
Yep.
marriage is a ball and chain.
Really,
Yeah.
really, you think that way? I think some people out there do look at marriage as that it's just so restricting. I can't do this. I can't do that. I had to give up this and like whatever it is. And at the ball and chain, I can't go out with you guys tonight because, I've got my spouse at home saying, oh no, you got to come home and help me. Like such a negative way to look at this beauty in marriage, it's not a ball and chain.
Yeah.
I think marriage is fun.
Right.
I love
Yeah.
it.
And I mean, you are going to have to balance some things. There probably are some things that you're going to have to give up. But I
Mhm.
mean, that's all about just talking things out and making sure that you're getting a good balance of sort of me time
Yes.
versus we time. And, you
Friend
know,
time and,
right.
you know,
And
uh,
that could be a little different for each of you.
yes.
Maybe one of you does like to want to just do things together, just the two of you, and the other wants to get out a little bit more again. that's going to take some communication, some
Right.
talking it through. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And with that, what do we got? Ecclesiastes 4, 9, and 10.
Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor.
Mhm.
So, if you think about like biblical times, they're out working in the field, they're laboring. Two of them are doing it, they're going to get a lot more done. So, if we're laboring through this thing called marriage, this thing called life, these things that we're trying to conquer together, takes two of us,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
and we're going to be able to lean on each other, lean on God, lean on each other and build each other up and get through things together, do more together. So
That's right.
it's not a ball and chain.
Right.
It's not
Yeah,
restricting us.
100% I disagree with that one, just like I think
Yes,
you do as well.
yes,
So,
yes.
all
That was a
right, our
myth.
final myth.
Oh, I
What do
love
we
this
got? This is probably one of
one.
my favorite ones.
Happy couples never fight. Ah,
Yeah. Right. Isn't that true? If you're
except that
happy, you never argue, you never fight.
correct, because yeah, like we're so happy, almost 20 years in marriage, but we fought before.
Yeah.
Oh,
We had a
another
little
shock and
tiny one
awe. Like
yesterday, I
what?
remember, and it was over something just ridiculously silly. I don't even remember what it
I was
was, which is a
right.
good
He
thing.
was right, and we both were, but we
Yeah.
were not listening to each other.
Right.
It was the stupidest thing.
I think part of it involved a misunderstanding.
It was.
Yeah. And we're very happy. And
Yes.
yeah. And so,
Is conflict a sign of trouble? Because if you're fighting and you don't want to, you're fighting because there's a conflict. So does that mean that there's trouble in the waters? There's shark infected, infested waters around you? Like,
mm,
is your marriage doomed because you had a fight?
mm,
Oh my gosh. Like, no, not. Did you know that like that conflict makes you stronger? If you work through it together, it makes you stronger. If you're having major conflicts right now, get some help for your marriage.
mm,
Work on it. It's worth the work. I promise it is so worth the work. Because when this conflict is handled well, it can your marriage can just grow and blossom. You can just see
yeah.
this picture to other people out there that are like, wow, that's what I want.
Mm.
That yeah, you can be that couple.
So, what are we thinking? This one's probably 100% a myth, too.
That is a myth.
Happy couples do argue and
We
do
do.
disagree. Yeah. Yep.
We do. We do.
Uh-huh.
I think the key there is learning how to communicate and handle those disagreements in the right way. And, leading on the word of God, Proverbs 15:1 says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Mm.
So, in that anger, in that fighting, really think about the words you're saying, how you're saying it, your body language, all the things.
Right. Good,
Mhm.
good. All right. I think we have gone through all these myths. We hope this has been helpful to you. Certainly has been a lot of joy for us to bring this episode to you as always. I think before we go, want to just mention real quick, number one, make sure you subscribe to this episode wherever you're seeing this or listening to this. Very important to us, and it really helps get the word out. And then also, finally, I would say if you had any issues in your marriage, any small hurts, or maybe big betrayals, check out our online course on forgiveness. If you go to lovehowdeep.com/forgiveness, you can get the course. Just make sure you put in the promo code FG19. That's F as in Frank, G as in George, 19, and you'll get it for $19. And so we'll make sure we put that in the notes wherever you find this podcast episode. And with that, I think we are ready to go.
I think so.
All right. Take care until next time.